Hungary's Dominik Szoboszlai stuns toothless England in Nations League. This was not how Gareth Southgate had envisaged the start of the countdown to the Qatar World Cup. On a night when over 30,000 Hungarian schoolchildren massed into this boisterous arena, blowing their vuvuzelas with their screeching sound from start to finish, England produced one of their worst performances for some time. England had entered this Nations League opener, nominally to be played behind closed doors because of the bad behavior of Hungary fans during Euro 2020, but with kids allowed under a UEFA loophole, boasting an intimidating record. 18 wins in 22 matches and only one defeat, on penalties to Italy in last summer's Euro final. But Southgate's team had flirted with problems during a first half in which they were second best, and they hit the self-destruct button on 66 minutes. Reece James had only just entered as a substitute when he touched a ball back towards Jordan Pickford, then worried that he had not put enough on it. He stepped across Nagy to make sure that he could not give chase and, although the Hungary player went down softly, it added up to a penalty, mainly on the grounds of clumsiness. Dominik Szoboszlai scored and, to rapturous acclaim, Hungary were on their way to a first win over England since 1962. England rallied and they went close to an equalizer, but they could not dig themselves out. Next up is Germany in Munich on Tuesday, and thereafter there are only 4 more games before Qatar. Southgate had plenty to ponder here. It was an occasion that felt unique, the children having got in behind the doors, to borrow from the football vernacular, and there were a few eye rolls when the England players were greeted by boos when they emerged for their warm-up, albeit the chorus was rather squeakier than normal. What would happen when England took the knee? In the controversial fixture last September, the anti-racism gesture had been met with ear-splitting whistles. Here, incredibly, there were high-pitched boos. Nobody could forget why this occasion was as it was. Equal game. Respect, declared the UEFA banner in the middle of the one main stands, while the president of the Hungarian Football Federation, Dr. Sándor Szanyi, writing in a richly entertaining program, urged the youthful audience to savor the memory of a lifetime. The din was constant, fired by the vuvuzelas, and Hungary were good in the first half. They almost made the dream start, one to further energize the crowd, not that they needed much assistance. Addressing a high diagonal from left to right, Loic Nago volleyed over a sumptuous first-time low ball in along the corridor of uncertainty behind England's backline, and it was made to measure for Szoboszlai. Out came Pickford and he certainly spooked Szoboszlai, who could only prod past him with little power. The ball trickled goalwards, but Conor Coady was able to get back and swipe clear from in front of the line. Hungary were here to play. They made inroads up the right, where the England debutant, James Justin, had a few nervy moments defensively. Nago almost picked out Roland Salai in the opening quarter, the forward having drifted clear of Trent Alexander-Arnold, but he could not make a decisive contact. It would not be the last time that Nago worried England with the weight and flight of his deliveries. Southgate had noted how Hungary tended to be compact, difficult to break down, as they were in the Wembley game last October. But they were enterprising during the first half, quick to threaten the spaces behind Alexander-Arnold and Justin, both of whom played high, the former particularly so. England were too open in the defensive transitions before the interval, offering Hungary hope. Szoboszlai sent Nagy galloping clear of Alexander-Arnold on the half-hour, and the wing-back made Pickford save. There was also a heart-stopping moment for the goalkeeper shortly afterwards. Hungary won the ball high up the field and, when it broke to Adam Salai just inside the England half, he saw Pickford off his line and went for the spectacular. It looked as though he had pulled it off only for the long-range lob to veer just off target at the last. England lacked punch in the first half. Jarrod Bowen was a willing runner off the right on his debut and, after seeing an early effort blocked by Attila Salai, his eyes lit up when Alexander-Arnold picked him out with a cross from the right. Bowen fluffed the sight on volley. Coady headed high from an Alexander-Arnold corner, and Mason Mount could not finish from a Harry Kane cross, but it was clear that England had to be better in the second period. Southgate swapped Justin for Bukayo Saka at half-time and persisted with his favored 3-4-3 shape. England needed to plug the gaps, and Southgate surely had to remind Alexander-Arnold to check what was happening behind him. Saka at left wing-back was something that the manager wanted to see. And there was a wonderful burst from the Arsenal player shortly after his introduction, seeing him skate away from 2 red shirts before working Peter Gulaxi from a tight ankle. England, though, remained strangely passive. It was too easy at times for the Hungary players in the one-on-ones and also for them to buy a yard on the ball. Southgate's triple change just after the hour was a reflection of him not just wanting to manage the minutes of his squad, but to inject fresh impetus. And yet James, one of the changes, was immediately guilty of the lapse for the penalty. Szoboszlai once told Neymar before he took a penalty that he never missed. His finish was low and true. What did England have by way of response? They pressed harder on the front foot, looking more urgent. Bowen sent another side-on volley straight at the goalkeeper. The disappointing Jude Bellingham had an effort blocked, and Cody headed narrowly wide from a set piece. But Hungary should have moved out of sight when the substitute, Laszlo Kleinheisler, beat Harry Maguire to extend Pickford, and Andres Schaefer blazed the rebound high.